Well, I haven't been spoken publicly in a while, but this is a great opportunity because it's Mercury retrograde and it's a great time to talk about Venus, and especially Venus in Virgo that recently had her ingress, changing signs from Leo, fire, um, fixed fire, into Virgo, that is mutable, earth. So that's a huge change. Venus doesn't really like to be in Virgo very much. We say that it's in traditional astrology, this is the sign of the fall of Venus. That means that she's very uncomfortable in this sign. And it's because, well, in the system of Hellenistic astrology, when a planet is in the opposite sign of her, its exaltation, in this case, her exaltation, which is Pisces. Venus is it's exalted in Pisces. So she struggled in Mercury signs. Her fall is in Virgo, and or exile. So I like to use this word exile more than fall, because really the exile is how Venus feels when she's in the sign of Virgo. And why this is relevant? Well, it's relevant because especially people that has in their own charts Venus in Virgo, they may encounter problems throughout their lives related to love and beauty. Venus is the planet of love, but it's the planet of beauty. It's the planet of union, the benefic, the lesser benefic. So they tend to make things better for us. These are planets that when we have a transit with Venus around or Jupiter around, they tend to soften specific situations, or they make things easier for us, or they like to make us feel loved and appreciated, especially Venus. So when this changes, when Venus changes sign, it depends on where it falls in your chart. Every transit has a relationship, a very personal relationship with yourself, because it depends on which house it's gonna fall. So the area, houses tell us about the area of life where we're gonna feel this change or this influence. And in this case, well, everybody is different. So it's let's talk about what Venus in Virgo it's about. And I like to talk more specifically about experiences, because sometimes the books, they're great, you learn a lot, but astrology is about the living, how we live the planets through our own experiences. So when we have a transit of Venus in Virgo, it's good to know the subtleties of how we're gonna experience for that period, that it's a month and a half. It depends. Sometimes Venus stays in a sign for 2 or 3 months if it goes retrograde, but it's more or less 1 month and a half, or 2 months. It's very variable. We have our tables to say that, oh, this is gonna be here, but it depends. Every year changes, every month changes. So Venus is a planet of love. In traditional astrology, it's the goddess. We have 2 goddesses in astrology. The moon, it's the major goddess, and then it's Venus, right? And I'm not gonna enter in if astrology is patriarchal or not, because it's a system of an ancient system of mathematics. So it really doesn't care. It's not important. It's the feminine, it's present, and the goddess, it's strong enough to do what she has to do. We don't need 7 different goddesses. We have 2, and that's enough. So Venus in Virgo struggles because Venus tends to unite, to soften. Venus is associated with beauty. There's an association, but that's more modern. In modern astrology, they, I say they, but we, I'm more inclined towards Hellenistic astrology, because that's the system that I learned, and that's the one that I see every day in my life working out. So it works out for me. So that's my vision of the world, but I respect obviously all these modern astrologers that have a different view of the planets, of everything, right? But in the system of the traditional system, that is the first one that existed, and that is the one that evolved into what it is right now, modern astrology. Venus is a planet of sex. So it's a planet of sex, it's a planet of beauty. It's not a planet of money. That will be the difference between Hellenistic astrology and modern astrology. In modern astrology, there's an overlap between the houses of the natural zodiac and the meaning of the planets. So the association of Venus with money and material possessions comes from the second house, Taurus, that Venus rules, and they overlap the meaning of Venus with money. But if you read all the texts, the ancient texts, since the Babylonian, the Egyptians, and then obviously all the Hellenistic and all the tradition of ancient astrology, the Arabic astrology and the Persian astrology, Venus is not associated with money. It is the ruler of Taurus, and it's an earth sign. But Taurus, it's an earth sign. But Venus has also another sign, the masculine sign, that it's Libra. And Libra, it's an earth sign, right? So it really, you can have this confusion if you're a modern astrologer. Sometimes people have a transit of Venus and they think, oh, probably I'm gonna have a good luck with money, or I'm gonna have bad luck with money, or I'm gonna receive money, or something about related with money and possessions, and material possessions. But in my experience, if they don't fall in the houses of money, like the 2nd house, the 8th house, probably the 10th house, because it's work, it's difficult that Venus brings you money if it's not in these areas of life. But it can bring love into your life. So right now, the Venus moved into Virgo. People with a strong Virgo, or Virgo 7th house, or Virgo 5th house, or Virgo sun, moon, and rising, Venus in Virgo, they can experience changes in their love life. Especially right now with Mercury retrograde. These two right now are working together, because Mercury is in retrograde, but Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. It's the feminine sign of Mercury. So even when it's an earth sign, but it's about the mind. So you can start thinking a lot about people from the past, because we have Mercury retrograde. So this is a good time to remember. Mercury is right now in Cancer. So Cancer, it's a very sensitive, introspective sign. And it has similarities with Virgo. Uh, Very, very subtle. But because they're both feminine nocturnal recipient signs, they can have certain similarities. So now that Mercury is in Cancer, there's probably a lot of remembrance, like going back to how you felt, a lot about nourishment and the mother might come. And obviously Venus, it represents women. So when we read charts, the moon tends to be your physical body, your emotional body. It depends on the type of chart, but it's your body, your physical or your emotional body in natal charts. And Venus represents women and children. In traditional astrology, Venus represents women and children. So you can also have people, women and children entering your life or leaving your life, or people with children and women from the past, or women that are related to your mother. These transits can, or you probably have to remember or feeling. This is a lot about feeling, guys. This when Mercury retrogrades in signs that are very sensitive, like Pisces or like Cancer, there's an intention to go back to your feelings, to remember how you felt before with these women, with these children, what this was, the type of experience was nourishing, probably remembering a lot about your mother, especially people with strong Cancer energy, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, or planets in Cancer. They really feel this more strong. But there's also, in traditional astrology, we see that it's not only introspective, but people really get into or come back into your life. Maybe you had a friend, female friend from the past, and suddenly you start thinking about this person, and you call them or text them or whatever, and you see them again. This is typical Mercury Venus retrograde, especially with this relationship that is between Virgo and Mercury right now. So why is Venus in exile? Well, I like to say that when planets are in exile, it's really like moving into a country where you've never been before, or probably even traveling, right? Because it's a short term aspect transit. So it's like going to, I don't know, a very, very different place where you don't speak the language, you don't have the social skills, you don't know anybody, you look different. And it's like, oh my God, how am I gonna be myself in this super strange foreign environment, right? So it's a little bit shocking, and that's how Venus feels in Virgo. Why? Because Mercury, we say it's the messenger of the gods. So it's a planet that it's very mental. So all the signs, both signs that are ruled by Mercury, they tend to use the mind a lot. So even when Virgo, it's about the earth, it's an earth sign. So it has a affinity with the human experience, more than the mental, the human body embodiment, right? But also when it's Mercury, there's always the mind immersed there. So a lot of overthinking, people in your mind, really, the people, even if it's not Gemini, crazy mental energy, or Aquarius, but it's there. It's there. Mercury has a rulership, well, a co-rulership with the nervous system and the digestive system. And also, when Venus tries to do her job of beauty, of love and sex in Virgo, she doesn't know how to do it, because the characteristics of Virgo are very different than the characteristics of Venus. So she tries to unite, she tries to let herself go. It's a feminine side, so she tries to receive, but Virgo has a very difficult time letting go, letting be, letting themselves receive, even if it's a feminine sign. So Virgo tends to be at service. It's the planet, it's the sign of service to humanity. It's one of the signs that has a mission to serve humanity. So people with strong Virgo, they're here. This incarnation for them, it's to be at service. Obviously, there's always people with lower consciousness, and they tend to serve themselves first, right? But that's another story. But the intention of Virgo is to serve. So Virgo likes to analyze systems. Mercury, it's a planet that analyzes systems. And in Virgo, it's about deconstructing a system to understand it, and then put it all back together, like a puzzle. You have all the pieces, and Virgos are great to connect everything again and make it, in this case with Venus, well, try to make something beautiful, right? So when it's about love and beauty and passion, sex, Venus in Virgo wants to be useful more than Venus tends to pleasure towards the things that are nice to us, beautiful things, not only beautiful women or beautifying things like perfumes. Everything about cosmetics is ruled by Venus. Making things beautiful, your house, decoration, colors, all that is ruled by Venus. So when you get into Virgo, Virgo is not that inclined. They are more concerned about health, about helping, about analyzing. So relationships for people with Venus in Virgo tend to be difficult, because they don't know how to let go, let themselves be intoxicated by the emotions, right? So they're in their mind, they're over analyzing everything, they're trying to understand their own system of love. So they create, many Venus in Virgo people, they have a list, a checklist of what this person, like a person that they are gonna relate to, they have to have certain characteristics. So it's not, Venus is not like that. Venus is the Cupid with the arrow, and boom, fall in love, and literally fall. But Virgo is not like that. Virgo also has this quality in depictions of Virgo tend to be this young woman, almost a teenager, harvesting wheat. And for me, it has a resemblance with Persephone, right? It's like this innocence, young beauty, untouched, the virgin. That's why it's Virgo. It's the virgin. So it's like it represents something very pure. And Venus is different. Venus is a more mature approach to love. So when we have Virgo Venus, there's a lot of idealistic approach to love. So first of all, they are very concerned about the appearances, their own and others. So it's a very physical, because it's earth, so they're very physically orientated. That's a pitfall in relationships, because the body, it's something that vanishes, right? So it's better, if you want to have a long-term relationship, it's better to focus on the qualities of that person, the internal qualities, the qualities of the soul, not the qualities of the body, because youth and beauty are very ephemeral. They don't last. Nobody looks the same forever. So these Venus in Virgo people, they tend to idealize that this innocence, this youth, and this beauty will be the same forever. So they fall in love with how the person looks. If they have all the check in the checklist, healthy, young, radiant, right? Very, very high standards. They have high standards for themselves, but they also have higher standards for others. And in relationships, this they struggle, because people is not perfect, and they have this image of the perfect virgin, or in a male or a woman, that it's gonna be youthful and beautiful and healthy and happy, right? It's like, it's too much. Humans are different, and humans, one day you are in a mood, in the next one you're in another. Like, we are constantly changing. So they get very disappointed when this ideal that they have about the virgin, the relationship, the beauty, and the easiness of the relationship. So a classical Virgo Venus, especially if it's a man, they would fall in love with the appearance, and they believe, well, this is someone that I can be with. But then with time, when they get to know the person, and the person has their changes and have a different, one day when they don't look so pretty, or they gain weight, or they get pregnant, they start unloving the person. This is something very hard that happens a lot because the idea, it's romantic, but in a practical way. So for them, romance is the perfect relationship that works for them, where they can be useful and helpful to the other, but they also take from the person. The person has to adapt to their needs. That's a lot of Virgo. Even when they approach people to serve, but at the same time they always have to be set to serve themselves through others, right? They also tend to be a little bit shy, so sometimes Mercury, it's so in their minds. Mercury people are a lot living in their minds, so they don't flow. They don't allow things to happen. They don't let life to happen. They are freak controllers. So that's a very difficult characteristic to have when you want long-lasting love or a relationship that works, because you have to be flexible. And there's an indication of flexibility because it's a mutable sign. So they might be very changeable as well, very mutable. They might like you one day, and the next they just don't like you. It's very simple, and because they're easy, they're in their head, they struggle to drop the mind and feel with the heart. They tend to feel with the mind, which is always a disaster. So many people with Venus in Virgo end up in relationships that are not for them, with people that is not good for them, because they choose the person because of the appearances, or because of oh, I can fix this, I can fix. There's an intention always in Virgo to fix things, to make things better, to make people better, more beautiful, more power, whatever. Depends on the planet, depends on if it's the sun. Sometimes it's to be more powerful, more intelligent. Mercury in Virgo, it's really very people with a lot of skills, very intelligent, very skillful in their arts or whatever they do. A lot of architects have Venus or Virgo, strong Virgo, architects, people that do beauty things. All this, your purpose is related with creation, right? And serving humanity with your skills, with your intelligence, with how you understand certain systems. So doctors, the system of the body, right? How everything, the organs, how they work, and their skills. Surgeons, very Mercury and Virgo stuff. All these things. So a lot of the problems that arise in relationships are because we don't know how everybody have a different way of love. So we imagine that, oh, I fall in love with this person and they're gonna love me the way I need, and I'm gonna love them, and that's gonna be enough. But that's not. That's why astrology shows us that everybody loves differently, and the way we love is determined but mainly by our Venus and our moon. But when it's about growing a relationship, we have to check our Jupiter. And if we want a long-term relationship, a committed relationship, where is Saturn? What is Saturn doing, right? So everybody is different. Everybody has different ways of how do I want to be loved, and how can I express my love. And if we know that, we don't expect things that are not possible for people. And for instance, Venus in Virgo people, they are not the type that is gonna, they will always try to give you things that are useful. So the way they show love is by being of service to you. I've had partners, many partners with Venus in Virgo, and it's very interesting. Sometimes you expect something from them, and they will give you exactly the opposite. But it's always with a good intention of being useful. For instance, I had a boyfriend that in my birthday gave me an iPod before Spotify and iPhones and all that. He gave me an iPod with all the music of my favorite singer in one, that it was only available in CDs or in YouTube videos, but he put everything together. So he collected, that's organization, it's a topic for Virgos. They're very organized if the condition of the planets that are in Virgo is good. Not always. A lot of Virgos are very messy and dirty, and depends. Especially Venus in Virgo, because it's in exile. Sometimes you have a person with Virgo and it's like, but why are you so messy? If you're a Virgo, right? You have planets in Virgo. You should be like impeccable. And they're not. Like, their houses are a mess, their cars are a mess, everything is a mess in them, because Venus doesn't do the real job in Virgo. It tries to do what she can, but sometimes it's difficult for her to function well. So things that are gonna be practical. Virgo loves practicality. So probably they will give you a lift. A friend with Venus in Virgo will give you a lift instead of sitting to cry with you, or will give you food. What do you want to eat? Instead of listening to, I don't know, they're not very emotionally. It's a very, like there's a detachment. It's a different type of love. It's a more detached love. It's not as detached as Aquarius. I think for Venus the worst, even when Venus is involved in Virgo. But in my experience, the worst Venus is in Aquarius, or the worst moon. Like, this is people that really can't feel. I've had clients that come to me and ask me why I can't cry. I haven't been able to cry in my entire life, and they're 35 years old. So they haven't cried in 35 years old. Venus in Aquarius. They don't know how to love their children, so they just work instead of staying at home because they don't know how to do with their children. They don't know how. Venus is worse, that it struggles way more in Aquarius. So in Virgo has these qualities, and obviously the idealism is not great for relationships, because you're not living what is real, you're living an illusion. And illusions, they never succeed in the long haul, or commitment, right? If you commit to an illusion, you're gonna end up really, really bad. So there's this idealism, the perfectionism. Virgo is a perfectionist, and that's another rabbit hole for them. Because it only shows the deepest wounds. They're trying to cover all the wounding with being perfect, and they struggle with being authentic, because they're very worried about what other people think about them, what their family think about them, their friends. They're very prone to be influenced by the immediate environment. So sometimes they listen more to a friend or the mother than their own heart, and they make mistakes with love because they get married with a person that the mother liked, that the friends liked, and that ideally they liked. But at the beginning of the marriage, they realize this is not for me, this person, and they're already involved. So it's difficult for them to leave as well, but they will take they will choose a mistake or something that it breaks the idea, and they will use this to leave. So Venus in Virgo, women tend to stay longer in relationships because they have this, oh, I'm gonna fix this person. And I was thinking about Chris Martin's songs of love. He's Virgo rising, and there's a song that he wrote to the wife called Fix You. I wanna fix you. But there's also this idea of the muse, right? Well, in his case, obviously, he married with a woman that was a muse for many, many people in the society. Like a Hollywood actress, right? This Winnet. But there's another song like Yellow. All this, it's very idealistic. The perfect woman, the perfect love, that's very romantic. A lot of Venus in Virgo people, or Virgo people, like romantic novels, right? Because there's this part where they can be the prince and save the princess, or vice versa. The women, oh, I'm gonna save this guy from the streets, and I'm gonna feed him, and he's gonna change, and everything is gonna be great. Or the typical relationship where they enter in a relationship with someone that is already married, and they believe that they're gonna change and choose them. So a lot of people with Venus in Virgo, they go from one mistake to the next, and the relationships tend to collapse very quickly, because first of all, they choose the person for the wrong reasons. They don't take time to get to know, because they believe that if the checklist is correct, everything is gonna work out. And ideas are perfect, but everyday life is very complicated and more complex than we can imagine. So they feel that they fail, and they retrieve and then they keep these cycles of they repeat the same cycle with another person that it's perfect, youthful. A lot of men with Venus in Virgo, they keep dating young women until they're 80 or 70. It's like they don't want to grow, they don't want the woman to grow with them. They don't want a woman that is older, that has wrinkles, that has a bigger body. They are very, very, very interested in the beauty, and the relationships doesn't work. So they keep changing the same model with different name and different face, right? There's also a lot of people that they tend to, once the woman or the husband is more committed, they don't like that commitment, they don't like children, or they don't feel as important as they were before, so they leave the relationship when the woman had a children. They feel abandoned. Like there's a lot of misfunctions, malfunctions in Venus in Virgo. So it's difficult for them to have long-term relationships that are healthy and happy, or they enter in these relationships that are very unhealthy, right? Where they give too much, trying to fix the relationship, and the relationship has nowhere to go, and they stay. This happens a lot with women. They stay in relationships that are really bad for them, because there's this ideal that someday he's gonna change, someday he's gonna give me what I need, someday I can change them with my love, I can fix you. This is the perfect song for Venus in Virgo, really. He doesn't have Venus in Virgo, but Chris Martin, he is a Virgo rising, so this is Virgo signature, right? So what can we do when this happens? If we have a planet that it's in exile in our chart, in specific this Venus, probably I'll try to understand and learn about it, is because you see the mirror, right? You see oh my goodness, this is happening to me all my life. I should have known astrology before. And the guidance could be probably listen more to the moon. So when you want to choose a person, you need to listen to your moon. What are your emotional needs? And then check the moon of the person, because if they're not compatible, the relationship is going to be impossible. At some point it's going to break. And sometimes with impossible relationships, they break both people, emotionally, mentally, and it's a disaster, right? Or there are children involved, marriage is broken, people cheating. There's a lot of cheating in Venus in Virgo as well. Not as much as in Scorpio. And Scorpio has a Venus doesn't like, it's the two signs where Venus doesn't like to be. In Scorpio, it's more about betrayal and cheating and excessive possessiveness and jealousy. It's a very difficult placement for Venus. Venus in Scorpio has to go to the darkness, really, to get healthy, to become healthy. There's a lot of toxicity, relationships. People with Venus strong Scorpio tend to relate, especially the moon and Venus, Mars as well, because Mars rules how we express who we are. So the Scorpio, it's a lot of toxicity. That comes from past lives where you were used to be toxic, to be in relationships that were toxic, and you come to this incarnation and you have all this baggage that you have to clean. That's the difference. With all these two signs, there's an intention, an evolutionary intention, and this is gonna be more about modern astrology, because evolutionary astrology, the evolution of the soul, it's pushing us to make the same mistake over and over again until we learn the lesson and we stop doing it, right? It's like these alcoholics. They have to go to the bottom until they go to rehab, and then they need to learn that this is not the way, and I'm not gonna drink alcohol ever again in my life. That's what Venus in Virgo and Venus in Scorpio it's about. It's learning through mistakes, learning through painful experiences, learning through loss, immense loss. There's also obviously people. I have a boyfriend that got married and the wife died. He had Venus in Virgo in the 12th house. Very, very difficult. He was left with 2 children, very young. The baby, there was a baby, and she died of cancer. She was super young. He was super young. So this type of experiences were that they're very, very difficult. Venus in Virgo, Venus in Scorpio, right? So if you have Venus in Virgo, don't despair. It's a lesson you have to master. Virgo is a mastering sign as well as Scorpio. You have to master your mind, you have to master your feelings, you have to master how you are in the world so you don't make the same mistakes. And once you're a master, you will find the right person, once you master to self-knowledge. When we talk about mastering, it's about I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I need. I know exactly what's not for me and what it is for me. I'm gonna feel it and start to let this Virgo. It's the nervous system and the digestive system that are super connected. When we're stressed, obviously you can eat. You feel bad. Your stomach feel bad when something is wrong. People that it's intuitive. Virgo, they are not that intuitive. They can, but it's not one of their, but because it's opposed to Pisces, there's always something coming from Pisces towards Virgo. So there's gotta be something, and learning to listen to your feelings, learning to listen to your intuition. Is this person, she's so nice, she's so beautiful, she's wow, but is this really the person to make me happy? Can I live for 25 years with this person? Is she gonna be at my level of understanding of life, right? So once Venus in Virgo people learn who they are, they tend to use a lot of masks because of the perfectionism. So they invest a lot of time and effort in looking great and in create an image of themselves that sometimes is completely different to how they are inside. So once they learn to be themselves, to be authentic, and they know themselves, that's when things start changing for them. That's when they start attracting and choosing the right person. When they stop controlling every single piece of everything and they allow life to happen, and they take more time to get to know the person in different, not only about the appearance of how they look, but how they are inside, how they feel, how they treat others. A lot of Virgo, they don't realize that they can get married with people that it's very rude to others. So, and they don't like people that it's rude. Virgos, they tend to be very nice people, so they don't like people that it's rude in general, or they tend to, sometimes they just let themselves, that they let in the relationship that the other can manage. So I know people that has been, that they took away the children, the money, the house. A lot of men have, with Venus in Virgo, they lost everything with a divorce, because they gave too much, and there was no boundaries. That's the Piscean part of Virgo. Very difficult to set boundaries. So when they're really in love and they're so focused on the perfection of the relationship, they allow the other to pass through them and use them, or they take too much. The partner takes too much, so they keep the house, keep the car, keep the money, keep the children, and they are in the middle of nowhere with nothing, right? But their heart broken. There's a lot of heartbreaking Venus in Virgo and Venus in Scorpio. There's a lot of heartbreak. In Scorpio, it manifests different. It's more intense, and it's probably, there's a lot of emotional intensity that has to be managed, or it's very destructive. People with Scorpio tend to be very self-destructive, and they destroy others too, because they always mirror what they have inside, and they hurt people a lot, and they hurt badly. Virgo is different. Virgo, it's more, I'm going home, I'm not talking with you anymore. I'm gonna distract myself trying to create another illusion, another perfection. I'm gonna work in something. I'm gonna try to learn this. So getting to know yourself, know your astrology, know the astrology of the person you're relating to. Go with an astrologer, really. It's a good thing to do. Especially if you don't understand the entire system, because it depends. Sometimes Venus in Virgo, but in which house you have it, it's gonna be different. If you have it in the second house, people with Venus in Virgo in the second house, they tend to give a lot of money, or all the money they have, all the possessions they have. That's the way they love, or they will gift you stuff. Instead of giving you love or time or affection, they will give you things, material things, because it's the second house. If it's in the 12th house, well, probably they will want to be in the house all the time, or they will won't like to socialize. If it's in the 7th house, that's different. Probably they will have higher understanding of relationships, because they have been doing these relationships over and over, but they will have this ideal of the romantic comedy, right, where everything is perfect at the end and happily ever after. The romantic ideal in Venus in Virgo is probably the worst, because life is not a romantic comedy. And it takes time for them to understand that. They believe that it's possible. They believe that that's the way things should be. So it really, if it's in the 5th house, probably they're very sexual. That's something. Venus and Virgo people, they tend to be very sexual, skillful. So if you want a lover, probably a Venus and Virgo lover will be good. If you don't want many problems with emotional entanglement, right? Don't go with a Scorpio, because that's not gonna happen. There's entanglement, emotional entanglement in every Scorpio relationship, right? But what can we do now that it's just a transit? And I already talked about probably people coming back from the past, or women entering your life. The past can be past lives too. It doesn't have to be always someone that you knew in this life. It can be people that you have already met in other lifetimes, and it's like, oh, I feel like I know you. This is when you feel that I feel like this is very, one, it's the psychological approach is that when you feel very, very strongly familiar with someone, it's because it has the same wound, the primordial wound that you have, if it's the mother wound or the father wound or abandonment wound or whatever type of wound you have in childhood. If you feel too familiar with the person, it's because they carry that wound and they're gonna make you suffer the same wound over and over again until you release them. But there's another approach to that, and it's people that you have unfinished business from other lifetimes. And so if you've been thinking about a person and probably you don't know them well, but it's something intense, it's because you've already met that person and the soul recognizes the other soul, and you have to go through whatever lesson you've agreed to go through in this lifetime. So just be cautious about choosing from the eyes if you want to have a relation. I mean, if you're both materialistic and it's just there's a lot of relationships like that it's only appearances. That's okay. If that makes you happy, everybody can do you do you, right? We are no one to judge. But if you want someone deeper, more different, with emotions involved, probably try to get to know yourself better. And for this transit, I would like to tell people that the gods are there to shower us with their grace if we acknowledge them. So now that Venus is in Virgo, we can probably become more healthy, eat more healthy, probably learning about certain system, learning about attachment styles, for instance. That's a very good thing. It helps you to understand your relationships better, and it's something that Venus in Virgo likes to understand. What is happening? Why I don't connect well, why my relationships keep falling apart, why I'm not happy, why I keep continue this pattern of relationships that are not healthy. So healthy, do something healthy, go out in nature, stop using makeup and see how you feel, more natural, more healthy. Learn to cook something. Now that Mercury it's in Cancer and Venus it's in Virgo, they have this reception. So probably learning to cook something that is very healthy, something that is different than the usual you do, or learning about the digestive system, that would be great. Something that nourishes that Venus that it's suffering in Virgo, right? And when we offer to the gods give us grace, and that's how we manage the difficulties of living in this planet, that it's so complicated. So anyway, that's my approach, and I hope this was of service. I have a lot of Virgo. I have all my rulers in Virgo. So I am an Aquarius, but through Virgo, I'm a Scorpio moon through Virgo, and I'm a Sagittarius sun through Virgo. I have Saturn in Virgo too. So I have a lot of planets in Virgo. So I know what I talk, and I had relationships with Virgos my entire life, so I know them very well. It's a beautiful sign, but it has a lot to work. It has a lot to work on themselves. They tend to give what they don't even have. And that's the problem with Virgos. They tend to exteriorize their own woundings, their own lacks. And sometimes you have to tell them, you know what? Stop saving people, stop saving animals, and save yourself first. And then you can go and do the job with others. But they tend to give and give, and they don't want to receive. because there's a wounding. So work on yourself, work on your wounds, go to therapy, astrology, spirituality, whatever suits you, so you don't have to keep repeating the same lesson over and over again. Okay guys, take care.